Next news is out of Nashville, Tennessee. A man in church shooting aimed to kill 10 white people. On Monday, a prosecutor said that a black man charged with fatally shooting a woman and wounding 7 people at a Nashville church aimed to kill at least 10 white churchgoers, and cited a 2015 massacre at a black church in South Carolina. Emanuel Samson, 27, faces a 43-count indictment, including a first-degree murder charge. In September 2017 shooting the Burnette Chapel Church of Christ.
Why inside a church?
Why inside of a church? Because he's saying that back in 2015, when that white supremacist went into South Carolina, black church in South Carolina,
right,
and he shot up the place, he was retaliating for that event.
So he wanted to be inside the church because black people were killed inside the church.
Yeah.
And he was only going to kill 10 white people, so that it's the exact same number?
I believe so.
So, I mean, what can you say? This is fucking mental, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is that are people going to call this out in the same level that they called out the white supremacist attacks on Muslims and black people, or is this just going to fly under the radar because the person the shooter is not white and wanting to kill white people? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there going to be a double standard with regards to how much coverage this gets? I think it will.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know how to estimate this. I think that a lot of people who want to use this as some sort of case to prove their own point, like white supremacist groups and things like that, they might parade this around forever. Look at this person and make it louder, and this happened, so they all want to do this, and which is insane. It's just insane.
Well, no, I mean, but what you will do is that you will give them the white supremacists the narrative they need by not covering this as much as white on black or white on Muslim violence, and you will give the white supremacists everything they want by them being able to go to other white people and be like, look how society is against you. You know what I mean? You just give, they don't even have to write this shit down because you're just giving it to them, right? I mean, every time there's an attack on Muslims, right? People that don't follow us, they always like, oh, Armin or Atheist Republic, you're not going to cover this, are you? You're just going to cover attacks by Muslims on non-Muslims because you're biased. And you haven't followed us, have you, right? But they always say that. They always like, oh, these anti-Islam critics, they're biased. They only cover Islamic attacks, right? So, but the same people now, if you go look at the people that call out, if you want to hold the same standard on them that they accuse us of, if you go look at them, they're quiet about this. The same people that every time a white supremacist does something horrible, they like, oh, look, the rise of white nationalism, the right, the alt-right is rising. We're going to have Nazi Germany under Trump soon, and blah, blah, all that. They're quiet about this. So if they think that we're hypocrites, which we're like, first of all, we cover those, but even if we didn't, like, we cover attacks on Muslims, right? We do bring attention to it every time it happens. But even if we didn't, that wouldn't be hypocritical because it's an atheist channel, right? Like, when we don't go to Islamic channels, like when Muslims attack non-Muslims and Muslim YouTubers are not covering that, we don't go tell them like, why are you not covering this, right? They don't want to, but we cover it. But even if we didn't, that's not hypocritical because that might be not what your channel covers. But given that if we did not cover it, they would call us hypocrites. Now we should use their same standards against them. Like, are you covering this? And they're not. They could have been like, for the sake of consistency, I'm going to post this and I'm going to condemn this. But if you go look at I'm pretty sure you can find an example of one of them or a couple of them that are trying to be reconciled. I don't know. Like, maybe let's see if there's any of them, right? And congratulate them for their consistency if they're bringing attention to this. But most of them are not going to touch this. And they should be allowed not to touch this because maybe their activism is and just focus on white nationalism, right? But the fact is, they call us hypocrites when we don't cover both sides. So by their standards, they're hypocrites. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what the top comment is. That's a hate crime. Yeah, this is racism. Again, a lot of people are like, oh, reverse racism doesn't exist. Well, yeah, the only reason why reverse racism doesn't exist is because it's just racism. This is racism, okay? This is anti-white racism. And anti-white racism is on the rise. Anti-white racism is on the rise. If anybody wants to call me a bigot for saying that, then I'm a fucking bigot, okay? Anti-white racism is on the rise. Let me see. Will is saying, yet we will hear some excuses about how it's bad, but not racism, because people want to keep changing the definition. Yep. I agree with that. Dan is saying some Americans would still insist this wasn't racist. He has become what he hates the most, and I want to criticize our own community. This is the type of collective punishment that people believe in, right? So one white guy did something against black people. Now you're holding all white people responsible for that. This guy just wants to kill 10 white people randomly because they believe in collective punishment. They believe that they could hold people that have not done anything wrong. They could hold them responsible for the crimes of other people just because they share the same skin color, which is absolutely insane. But our own community does that as well. Atheist Republic community. We see when there's attacks on Muslims, Atheist Republic community, there's a lot of times that people say like, oh, karma's a bitch, or like, well, they had the coming, well, Muslims do the same thing to non-Muslims. Like, yeah, but it wasn't them. It was other Muslims. It was not those Muslims that were attacked. What the hell are you talking about? Again, collective punishment. I don't even know why. I mean, I know why this is so. It's the most insane. I keep trying not to use the R word. It's the most dumb. It's so insane. It's so illogical that I can't believe that it's such a powerful force among all sides. Oh, well, you did this to atheists, so we could do this to Muslims now. Oh, we could do this to Christians now. Oh, we could do this to white people now. Oh, we could do this to black people now because other black people did this now. Like, what the hell? How does that make any fucking sense? But the reason why it's so hardwired in our brain is because tribalism is so hardwired in our brain. Like, it was at one point, again, this is another thing that shows you natural does not mean good, okay? Because naturally this made us survive as a species, right? You took care of your tribe. If somebody came after one member of your tribe, you went after their entire tribe. Our species survived because of this, but this is not good, okay? It's not good just because it's natural, just because it made evolutionary sense for our biology. It doesn't make sense for our society. What makes sense for our genes does not make sense for us in modern societies. Okay, if you wanted to go by what things that made evolutionary sense, then we should go invade other cities and rape every woman and take their children as slaves. That's how our brains are wired. Anyways, Ali, did you want to add anything?
I'm just laughing at the thought of somebody taking that one clip of you saying we need to go rape women.
Oh, fuck. Holy shit.
I can just see it now. People be, look, Armin said.
And the interesting thing is that even if you joke about it, I used to think that if you joke about it, people are like, okay, yeah, that's too much. I'm not going to take this person out of context. But I've seen somebody saying something and then joking about it that somebody's going to cut this piece out and go out of context. And they still went and did it, even though, even after joking about it. So, yeah, that might happen.
Atheists are under attack in many places. If they were Christians, their voices would be heard. If they were Jews, their voices would be heard. If they were Muslims, their voices would be heard. But they are atheists, and not many seem to be listening. Let's make it difficult for them to ignore us. We have built a global community, and now we are tearing down geographic, cultural, and language barriers so we can find each other and support each other. In the last decade, we have built the largest atheist community in the world. Now we're doing the same in other languages. With your help, we have started Atheist Republic in Persian and Arabic.
انضميت مؤخراً لأسرة Atheist Republic وحيصير عندي بودكاست باللغة العربية.
As we grow, we can dedicate more time, staff, and resources to start doing the same in Spanish, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. We are providing community, support, informative content, and amplifying the voices of those who need protection, especially in countries where people feel isolated simply for their lack of belief. We want to be there for them, and we are only getting started. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.